All right, let's kick things off with a site that, well, it probably looks a little too familiar. We're talking about that graveyard for our old electronics. This is a story about how these forgotten gadgets just pile up, in the corners of our lives. And, more importantly, how a super simple question can suddenly make you see it all differently.
Just think about that phrase, an old mobile phone lying in the corner. It sounds so simple, right? But that one image, that's the starting point. It really sets the scene for what's actually a huge problem, one that starts really small in those forgotten corners of our own homes and neighborhoods.
Okay, so let's dive into this first part, the corner graveyard. We're going to look at how these spaces just become the final resting place for our old gadgets. And maybe more importantly, the mindset that lets it happen in the first place.
And yeah, take a look. This is what that pile actually looks like. It's basically a small electronics graveyard, isn't it? And it's not just little things. We're talking a whole fridge, a computer, a broken fan, all tangled up in this mess of old wires. So let's meet Vikas. He's a professional who, honestly, like a lot of us, just adds to this pile without even thinking twice about it.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Replace is easier than repair. It's just the easy way out, and that's exactly how Vikas thinks. His attitude is kind of like, what's the big deal? Someone will probably find a use for it. And here's the thing, he's not the only one. His whole community basically does the same thing, just adding their old tech to this ever-growing heap. Now, every story has that moment, right? The turning point. For Vikas, the big change didn't come from some fancy ad campaign or a new government rule. Nope. It all started with a super simple question from his young niece.
So picture this, she's visiting him, actually working on a school project about the environment, of all things, and she just wanders over to this pile of junk. She picks up a broken phone, looks at the cracked screen, and just asks, "This has a battery in it, right?" It's such a simple, innocent question. Vikas just kind of shrugs, "Yeah, it does."
But then she hits him with the follow-up question, the one that changes everything. She says, "My teacher said batteries are harmful, so why is this here?" And bam, just like that, Vikas is silent. All that casual, it's no big deal attitude, it's gone. Poof. Replaced by the weight of a question that he has absolutely no good answer for. And, in that quiet moment, something just clicks. A huge shift happens inside him. That forgotten junk in the corner isn't just a pile anymore. All of a sudden, it's a real problem, and it's his responsibility. This really captures that internal switch perfectly. Before, on the left, it was all just junk. An easy word, right? But after his niece's question, that word junk suddenly feels heavy. It completely transforms into responsibility. What he used to see as just worthless clutter now has this real, tangible weight to it. So he looks at the pile again, but this time he's really seeing it for what it is. He starts noticing things he ignored before. The exposed batteries, the damaged circuits. He suddenly realizes that every time it rains, toxic stuff like lead from old circuit boards or even mercury and cadmium from batteries could be leaking right into the ground. It's not just ugly, it's a genuine hazard.
So what do you do? What do you do when you suddenly realize you've been part of the problem all along? Well, Vikas decides he's going to be part of the solution. Let's see how he takes that very first, really important step.
And you know what? His action plan was shockingly simple. The very next day, he went out, picked up his own old laptop and phone from that pile. Then he did what we all do. He just Googled e-waste recycling near me. He found an authorized center and dropped his stuff off. But then he took that final, crucial step. He shared what he learned with his entire community. And here's what's really cool. The reaction he got at the recycling center. The worker there didn't judge him, didn't give him a lecture. He just said, "Good that you brought it here." That's it. That one little bit of validation was all it took to make him feel like, okay, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. When one person takes a small, responsible step, it almost never stops there. It creates a ripple effect. And that is exactly what started to happen in Vikas's community. So when he posted his message in the community WhatsApp group, the reaction was, well, it was a mixed bag. A lot of people were just plain confused, asking things like, wait, you can recycle this stuff? But for a bunch of others, that confusion sparked curiosity. And for a key group of them, that curiosity actually led to them taking action. Vikas shared the address, and slowly but surely, other people started following his lead. And here's the result. You can see it right here. That electronics graveyard
It didn't disappear overnight, of course not. But it started to shrink. That cluttered, messy corner started to look a little empty. But maybe the most powerful sign of change came from his niece. She told him, that corner isn't scary anymore. How about that?
And all of this brings us to Vikas's final, pretty powerful realization. He said, it's easy to abandon old appliances on the roadside, but abandoning your responsibility is the most costly habit of all. And that kind of leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What corners are we ignoring in our own lives, and what's the real cost of just looking the other way?
एक कदम विकसित भारत की ओर।